Really nice to meet you all on a Monday morning. Uh, okay, so languages. We are communicating right now, right? Communication. Well, COVID, I think this time has taught us that communication can really take place by all sorts of means, and no matter how much we blame the social media, I think these times have taught us that social media has kept us together. So I think, what is communication and what is language? This answers everything, right? The If I am able to communicate my feelings, my emotions to you, it doesn't matter which language I'm using. At the end of the day, my emotions, my feelings should reach to you. What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to convey should reach to you, right? So how did it all begin? How did the languages begin? Uh, Julie Andrews sings in Sound of Music. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. When you read, you begin with A, B, C. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. Correct? So when you are reading, you begin with A, B, C. So how did the languages start? How did the languages begin? How did it all begin, right? Let me just what do you think, Rima? I just have a question. Is it do I have to just speak, or I can take questions?
No, you can ask questions. You can ask questions.
Right? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great. So because I would love it to be interactive.
Yeah. You can definitely ask
Talking
questions.
about languages and communication, so interaction is always good.
You can absolutely ask questions. Yes.
Great. That's great. So, what do you think? Why was there a need for languages? Anyone can answer. Please feel free.
Yeah, you'll raise your
To
hand.
communicate properly with each other.
Sorry?
To communicate properly with each other.
To communicate properly with each other. Yes.
To understand each other.
To understand each other. And
Ma'am, according to me,
messages.
Guys, if you can raise your hand. Yes, Divyan, please go ahead.
ma'am, according to me, languages have existed even before the universe started. Because without languages, we are nothing. Even from the tiniest or species, even ants communicate with each other in their own special way.
okay, so you are saying that communication between two atoms, if we are going right in the beginning, right? So but okay, so but I'm not gonna go right up to the big bang. Let's come let's forward a little bit, and let's talk about the existence of humans, and what do you think? How did humans start communicating with each other? How did it all begin? How did they start communicating? Did they immediately start talking? Did they immediately
Ma'am,
start?
they started by drawing.
Okay, that was written. What about even before that?
The beginning,
Sign language.
sign language.
Sign language. So what is sign language? Did they have like a standardized sign language? No. So what was it? It was emoting. It was talking with hands.
Distorted sign language.
It was gestures. Correct? So it all started with gestures and hand movements, and it was a very strong need for what? For to be able to communicate, to be able to make my feelings, make my emotions, make my thoughts reach to the other person. Imagine two Stone Age men and women going for hunting, and they are not able to talk, and they are like they want to have a great group dynamic. They want to be able to communicate in order to hunt that animal, and they might have, there is a theory that they might have felt or discovered that I'm not able to convey my code. So there started some codes or secrets or signs or sounds. And where did these sounds come from? The sounds came from the nature. Maybe it started with e, ah, or cries, right? So it all started with cries and sounds, and then what? Then, like rightly someone said, when writing came, as in what is writing, then came the pictures, then came the drawing on the walls. So drawings were always there. And the scripts, the initial scripts, you go back to Sumerians, you go back to Egyptians, hieroglyphics, you will find symbols, which is what we call them right now, right? What for us, it is, what is this? It's not even a good drawing. But what is a good drawing, and what is a good script, and what is a good picture, and what is, this is now that when we have standardized languages, and when we have rules, and where we have syntax, and where we have called something called as a good language, and all of this came much later. So we should never forget this base, this basic. This is the beginning, and this is where the language started. And I feel that we should never forget this. Why? Because this is where we started, and this is what has given us what we are today, right? What is another thing then? If I have said this, given this, what is another thing that is very important, and which we should never forget? Our mother tongue. So I feel, somewhere I feel sad that English is, I may feel sad, someone else may feel bad, and someone might agree, many people might disagree, agree, whatever. Agree it or not, believe it or not, you might like it or not, but English is today close to being a global language, a universal language, which is used, or which you can use in most of the places in the world. But then why do we still give focus on mother tongue? Why do we still insist that, oh no, you should never forget a language, you should never forget your mother tongue, you should never forget the way your grandparents maybe used to speak, or you should never forget your regional languages? Why? What do you feel? I would like to know, what do you feel about mother tongue? Why is it important?
Okay, Brinda.
Mother tongues are closely related to our cultures, and they depict our cultures extremely well. So it's important for us to preserve them.
Right.
Alithya.
Ma'am, so we have to know our mother tongue to connect to our culture, our tradition, our family members at home. To not, even though we know how many of our foreign languages, we must not forget our mother tongue, because that's like we connect to our family and to the people around us, our ancestral home. All of that is all connected to our mother tongue. So
Absolutely. You both have rightly said. So, mother tongue connects us to our heritage, our family bonds. It strengthens our family bonds. It connects us to our past. It connects us to our beginning, because that is where it all starts, and we should never forget it. It is extremely important. And there are also some more reasons why we should never ignore or forget. So forget even saying things like, oh, that girl or that boy, he can't speak good English, he speaks just Hindi. Or they are communicating in Marathi, seriously? Instead of that, let's start appreciating that someone is actually communicating in Gujarati, someone is actually communicating in Marathi, someone is actually communicating in Bengali. India is rich and filled with so many languages. We are really, really, I mean, blessed with languages, right? So why do we, two people come together and why do we still choose to speak in English? Why can't we decide that, oh, come on, today let's not speak in English, आज हिंदी में बात करते हैं. Why don't we say that आज फक्त मराठीतूनच बोलूया, बाकी कोणतीही भाषा नको बोलूया? Why do we feel sad about that, or why do we feel, I'm in public place, how do I place an order? I mean, if I'm at Starbucks, I have to use English. Why if I say in Hindi, will that person not understand which kind of coffee I'm ordering? What is it? So all I'm trying to say is, there's nothing wrong in using English. There's nothing wrong in using any of your mother tongue. All that I'm trying to say here is that we need to have mutual respect for each and every language. Because always remember one very important thing. Language, when a language is, when there are very few people or when to speak that language and the language starts to diminish and it soon goes into extinction and then a language is dead. There are languages, and remember, whenever a language is dead, there is an entire culture, there is an entire history, there are so many things which die along with it. So what is important here is that we understand speaking in any language, no matter what, you should be comfortable with it. You should respect anyone speaking in any language, because I think it's such a beautiful feeling to be able to speak. We are really, touch wood, we are blessed that we are able to speak, but there are people who are not able to speak and still have a language. Which is that language? Sign language.
Yeah.
So these are things which are really important. Then there are some classical languages, which are classical languages, Latin language, Sanskrit language. Why is it that we should learn these languages? Why today, people will come and ask that, really, I mean, Sanskrit, why should I even waste my time learning Sanskrit? Where am I going to use Sanskrit? Sanskrit you might not use it, but that is the problem, that we are not using the languages, and who knows, maybe in 10 more years, 20 more years, there might be no people who can even converse in Sanskrit or who knows Sanskrit. Forget conversing, because we are already not conversing in Sanskrit. We don't know. Even if we learn, it's mostly for school level, and the school level focus then becomes more to appear for an exam. But I mean, how many people can really start singing in Sanskrit? This is what happens, So I feel giving importance to languages, to no matter how tiny it is, it could be a dialect, even dialects need to be preserved, because many a times we are in the race of comparing between what is a good language, what is polished English, what is English with good accent. But I would say any accent, any dialect, any way of speaking is beautiful, because it is what tells people that this is me, this is my personality. And that also applies to your handwriting. These days it's a big thing that you must have good handwriting. Yes, definitely you should have good handwriting. Definitely you should have clean and clear, anyone should be able to read what you have written. But having said that, does it mean that everyone should write uniformly? Everyone's T's have to be the same way and the Y's need to be in the same way, looped in the same way? No. Why? I would say, maybe Kanishk Jain here might be writing in a way that is so unique. Maybe Vrinda here might be writing so beautifully in some other way. There is Om who might be using another artistic way to write an A, and that is so unique to probably Om Thakur here. Correct? And that is what talks about your personality. So your handwriting, the way you speak, your accent, you should never feel that, oh, I'm not able to speak well, or oh, I speak, my English is not very good, or if your English is good, and then you will start to think that, what is that kind of English? This is wrong English, or this is not a good accent. I feel the focus should be more on how many languages can you speak? How many languages can you preserve? How many histories do you understand? How many cultures do you understand? And how many cultures can you preserve? So let's shift our focus a bit when we are talking about languages. Yeah. And then there are questions where people ask that, so do languages have borders? There's a beautiful song written by, I think, if I'm not wrong, Javed Akhtar. It says, it goes like, Panchi nadiya pavan ke jhoke koi sarhad na inhe roke.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. So Panchi, birds and rivers. So Panchi nadiya pavan ke jhoke, wind. There are no borders to it. Sarhade insano ke liye hai. Similarly, borders, I don't think languages knows any borders. The power vests in us. The power vests in us to decide where we want to take our language. So many people had asked me when I learned so many languages that, oh, you learned so many foreign languages. Why are you neglecting Indian languages? And I was like, no, I'm not neglecting Indian languages. In fact, I have such a superpower that I can teach the world my languages, which I did. So whenever I traveled abroad, I used to take my culture along with me. Having said that, I never carried my food along with me, because I always believe that whenever you travel to another land, there should be a good give and take, where you are carrying your country in your heart, you're carrying your culture within you, you're wearing your culture, you are speaking in their language, you're able to share your language with them, you're able to teach your language to them. At the same time, you're learning their culture, their history, their songs, their food, their languages, their culture. I think this is such a beautiful give and take, and this is exchange, right? So languages knows no borders. It all depends on us. It all depends on the politics. It all depends on, so I think we should just ignore the politics. We should ignore the religion. We should ignore all these things which restrict us and keep us away from the beauty of languages. Languages is so beautiful that language is so beautiful that it knows no borders, it knows no boundaries, it has no politics, it has no, I mean, people have made politics out of languages, but I feel it is up to you. You are the generation who is going to take forward the language culture, because no matter what you learn, languages are going to grow with you, evolve with you, and it all depends whether you want it to evolve or you want to just let a language go extinct. I think that's what I feel about languages.
Could you share, Amrita, one of your experiences where you have shared your language or culture with another country or culture, and what has been
Sure.
the response? I mean, in that case.
Okay, so okay, a couple of experiences. There's this one time, that's the time when I knew 17 languages. I was, I think this story is from the year 2005. Okay, that was my very first trip to Japan, and I had a stopover at Bangkok. So what happened is, that was the time when I used to feel, oh, I know 17 languages. I think I can survive in any part of the world, and things like that. And this is where, you realize that you should never have that feeling, because you don't know. I mean, what can happen anywhere? So, and I was in such a land where I didn't know that language. And I met with a small accident, and it was so difficult for me to make them understand. And that is the time when I realized that they didn't understand English, they didn't understand what I had to try, I wanted to tell them. And they were really like, I mean, what I finally used was my hands, the gestures, that I've got hurt here or whatever, and I'm in pain and I want some medicine or whatever. It was just the hand movements which I used, you know. So like I had like we started our talk, commenced our talk with how hand movements, how the languages began with hand movements. You must realize that you know, when you're in a foreign land, all of a sudden you go like you know, you start using the hand movements so much, and that is the time you understand the importance of languages.
Yeah, I think body language, hand gestures, you know.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Hand movements and body gestures, etc. Correct. And there's this also couple of things, you know, where I was coming back from Italy, and I was in this. I had a group of students with me, and the entire flight was filled with Indians. We all were coming back to Mumbai, and somehow you know, it was a very typical scene where all the Indians had become very emotional. You know, you're coming back to your country and you're eating your food, and you're passing on the snacks, Indian snacks across the aisles, and the crew was not really speaking good about us in Italian language. Now, obviously, they were not even saying anything bad, not that bad. It was just they were just passing some comments, just like we do. So I think again that is again part of languages which we must understand. And so they were speaking something, and then I was there sitting in one of the economy side seats, and I was trying to understand what they're speaking. Obviously they didn't know, and then when they came to serve, I spoke in Italian, and they were like, and the flight purser was like, parlare italiano. I was like, see? And it was such a funny moment, because, you know, and I was so, that day in that flight, I got the business class treatment even in the economy class. Some really funny things can happen, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Children, you have any questions for her? Anyone? You'd like to ask her anything related to languages or learning languages? Okay, Arav Verma. Yes, Arav.
One similar, it's not a question, but it is also like a similar situation happened to me. Like I was in Spain that time. Now I had gone for my Diwali vacations last year. So basically, what happened was that so we had gone for a trip to Spain. So we had like we were in Madrid that time. So I had gone to this restaurant, Cafe and Tapas. Okay. So basically, then after that, I told one of the waiters in Spanish that the food is very good. He's like, muchas gracias, and then he started laughing. Okay, then I'm like to my mom, why is he laughing? And he's like, because he's happy you're speaking in his language.
Correct.
Then after that also one night I came, that guy even recognized me. He recognized me. And then so then basically a similar situation happened when I was on my way to Seville from Madrid. So we had reached this restaurant now, El Restaurante El Fogón. So basically, so I was able to like communicate with the waiters in Spanish since they did not understand English. Okay.
Okay.
So that time my mom wanted the English menu. So I asked her in Spanish, I want menu de English. So then she was like, no. Okay. So then I decided to translate it out. So then there was one salad. So then I asked one of the waiters, es Mediterráneo. So he's like, see. So then my mom could somewhat understand. So she's like, okay, get it. Okay. And then next she wanted one dessert. I was able to ask what the waitress, I flan. Then she's like, see. So I'm like, okay, 2 plates, please. So in Spanish only.
Yes.
Basically my mom was like, okay, that's good. So then basically like they were like very friendly with me, all the waiters and waitresses.
Correct.
So then next she's like, okay, time. okay, okay, let's wait. So then, so I'm like, time for the caramel custard. And she's like, what? And then I'm like, flan means caramel custard in Spanish only.
Yeah.
So basically, that is the thing. I mean, like, I like had a job as as an interpreter for them,
As
na?
an interpreter.
So one time in on our last city in Barcelona, so when I found out that they spoke Catalonian, so I'm like, oh my god, my job is over, because I thought that
Correct.
they didn't speak Spanish.
Yes.
So I'm like, my dad explained to me by showing the proof on Google that don't worry, they speak Catalonian and Spanish.
Correct.
Their job is still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so it's such a wonderful thing, you know, what you said. I mean, and you must have experienced that you feel so good that you instantly make friends with anyone and people remember you. But one more important thing, what we understand from this experience is that whenever we you know, you must have observed that all these people, especially in European countries, or you go to China and Japan, they all speak in their own mother tongue. They
Yes.
they don't make an extra effort. They don't go all the way, you know, out of their way to speak in English if they can't speak in English, or many a times they are able to speak in English, but they don't speak in English. They would still prefer speaking in their mother tongue.
Yeah.
So, you know, and this is what I say, that, you know, there should be respect for our languages too, and we shouldn't ignore them.
Yeah. There's another question that's come to me in chat which says how to learn and memorize multiple languages.
Okay, so firstly, you don't memorize anything in a language. Maybe a couple of words, and for vocabulary, you can use the memorizing technique. How do you learn languages? How do you learn multiple languages? You know, like I always say, when you are in a natural environment to learn a language, you learn it quicker and you learn it faster. Why is that? Because you're constantly hearing the language, you're constantly trying to adapt to that environment, and it becomes easy for you to speak in the language. That is not going to happen every time, right? You're not every time going to be able to create that natural environment. But how do you start? I always say, as a baby, we start with our mother tongue. Then these days, when we start school, obviously we are going to learn English. Then is the time the minute, even before I feel we go to school, the minute we are interacting with neighbors, and if we are in a country like India, and we are living in a metropolitan city, Mumbai, where we always have neighbors with speaking different languages, right? So if you're blessed with such people, then you are able to converse in that language to them. Then comes the phase where you have already, you know, your couple of regional languages, you know, English, you know, your mother tongue. And then comes an age when you start you decide that you want to learn a foreign language. How do you start that language? How do you start learning any language then? Because you're not in the natural environment. These days there are some amazing apps which you can use for sure, and I'm sure you might be well aware of those. I mean, there is Duolingo, and there are so many things. There are beautiful apps. I think you guys might be really better at that than me. Just a minute. Yeah. And but what is the technique? What is the best way? I would say there's no best way or good way or wrong way to learn a language. You should be able to learn any language the way you want. A couple of things that you should keep in mind is try to listen to the language a lot. How do you do that? If you're not in the natural environment, you have internet, you can go on YouTube and listen to some short stories or cartoons, or you can listen to songs and start singing in that. So whatever you listen, you have to also use it, implement your knowledge, because till the time you don't use a language, it's of no use, you know, because you should be at the end of the day able to communicate. And then you'll ask me, where do I use my language? Start using it with your friends, or when you're learning a language, that time you can, start with your friend or your sibling or your cousin or whoever you're comfortable with, and then you have someone to talk to. And that's, I think so, that's about it. And then I don't think you should worry much. So basically, listen a lot, try to speak a lot, don't be afraid to make mistakes, try to crack a lot of jokes in it, sing songs in that language, and read short stories. I think that's about it.
From singing, I know you sang a little bit of Hakuna Matata for our kids last year. Can you
Yes.
do that for our kids this year too?
Sure. Yes, I will.
Okay.
Just a minute. You
Yeah.
want me to sing it now?
Or maybe you can sing it towards the end also. That's okay. There's one more question though, so I might ask
Okay,
that child.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Om,
Ma'am, why do people feel bad when like somebody is talking in Marathi? Because English has like 26 words and Marathi has 52 words. And like it's like you say water, in Marathi there is jal, neer, pani and so on. Still why people feel bad?
Yes, Om, what you have said is it's absolutely true, absolutely right, correct. But like I said earlier, it's the politics behind the languages that many a times makes us feel that you can't, you feel that, oh, should I speak in my language, should I speak in Marathi, इथे बोलू मराठी की English मध्येच बोलू, you get that feeling. And what you absolutely said correct is Marathi is very rich in vocabulary. Marathi is very rich in fact, sounds as well. We have more stronger sounds. So, one question which I always get, where I link Om's point to, one question which I always get is, after learning so many languages, which language do you think is most difficult and which language do you think is the simplest to learn? I always say that a language is not difficult or simple. Will a German feel difficult to learn German? Obviously not, right? Will a Maharashtrian feel difficult to learn Marathi? Obviously not. But when a foreigner is learning a language, an X language, he or she feels difficult to learn. And then you have this category that, oh, Chinese is very difficult and Russian is very difficult. How do we come to this conclusion? The thing is that a language, the richer the language in a certain thing, more time we require to learn it. For example, Russian is very rich in grammar and vocabulary. It takes a lot of time for us to learn their words and vocabulary, and then we start to feel that, oh my God, is it really difficult to learn Russian language? Or looking at Chinese script, we feel that, oh my God, is Chinese difficult to learn because the script? So Chinese is rich in script. Similarly, Marathi is very rich in vocabulary and sounds. So we have, forget foreigners, many a times even North Indians or East Indians feel difficult to speak in Marathi, and because we have sounds like L and L, we have T, and they are, and then we go like, oh, but there is, we say null, for example, tap is null, and then they say null, but and then we say that, oh, it's null. Why don't you understand? Null is in Hindi. You can't use null. You can't call null. But the problem is not that they do it on purpose or anything. It's many a times that we don't understand, that we don't realize that a non-speaker of a certain language doesn't, his ears are not prepared, and if you're not able to hear the sound and understand it in your brain properly, you're not able to replicate that sound properly. And that is the reason why many a times R becomes L, the easier version, or the T becomes term many a times, you know. So this is what we need to understand when we are looking at a certain language. And coming back to Om's point, that in spite of being so rich in such a rich language, why don't we use it? Then Om, you are the what do you call, the
Ambassador.
language warrior or the
Yeah.
volunteer or a person. You should take it forward. And there are others, I mean, not just Om, but maybe Vrinda, maybe Ayush, or the all of you, you know, you should take your languages ahead. You should not be ashamed of speaking in your language. And if you um, come across someone who is trying to demean your language or who is trying to disrespect your language, you should correct that person, and you should feel proud of speaking in your language. Then the politics won't affect us and our languages.
Yeah. One more question, Amrita.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, Brinda.
There's like this whole thing going around that Sanskrit is like the mother of all languages. Is that true? Do you find it being easier to learn other languages just because you know Sanskrit, or if you know Sanskrit?
Okay. Brinda, it's a very good question. You know, something really funny that happened with me. So I had learned Sanskrit, but not Sanskrit as in the grammar or the vocabulary, anything in detail. But I, you know, like in typical traditional homes in India happens that you recite certain shlokas in Sanskrit. That's what exactly happened in with me. So my mom used to make me recite shlokas and make me understand the meaning. That's the thing that I had with Sanskrit. That's the only relation I had with Sanskrit. And then I started learning all these languages. And in fact, after learning about almost, I had completed a dozen languages, and then I was like, let me, you know, go back to my roots, and I must respect it. And that is the time I came back to Sanskrit, and I learned Sanskrit, as in learned Sanskrit. So is it the mother of languages? See, Sanskrit, Latin, these are all classical languages. Okay, classical languages. So when we talk about language families, these are classical languages. What do you mean by classical languages? A lot of other languages came much later. So since they came much later, a lot of things have been derived from these classical languages. But sadly, today these languages are ignored. So what is happening with Sanskrit in here is happening to Latin in Europe. Very few people are able to speak. I mean, no one really speaks Latin today, but Latin is just become a classical language, and there are some people who just take it up as a part of their course or studying. But apart from that, research or studies, I don't think people are much using it for conversing. So this is what happens with classical languages, you know. So many a times I feel that it's better not to get a give a language a status of classical language, because the minute it goes to that level, suddenly the common man starts to ignore the language. So I feel it should be more of, you know, a language which is always a common man's language, has always evolved and has always survived. So it is always the common man's responsibility to keep using each and every language in order to preserve it. Languages are going to evolve either for good or for bad, but it is in our hands to preserve it.
Yeah, also, just kind of going back to Vrinda's question, does Sanskrit or knowledge of Sanskrit help you understand certain other languages? Like it is said that certain words from a lot of languages are derived from Sanskrit. You know, that's what they say, or it is not so.
Not so. As I said, so I had already learned a dozen languages, and then I came back to Sanskrit. Okay, it definitely helped me as in to understand a certain languages better. But if I talk about European languages like Spanish or Italian or French, I don't think it had to do anything with Sanskrit. But if I go back to Russian or German, then yes, because these are all Sanskrit based languages. Or Japanese now, for that matter, is based on based on Sanskrit. Many of things due to the Buddhist influence. Lot of their language things have been influenced through Sanskrit, because like we have 12 sounds and they have a, I, E, U, A, I, O, aha, right? They have just 5 sounds, I, E, U, A, O. So many things have, there is always, but I don't know, I mean, whether to claim just one language as mother of all. Definitely it will help us, and definitely we must learn in order to preserve it and to understand our existence and to understand our languages better. We must learn Sanskrit. But similarly, Europeans must learn Latin. So I feel it is more of a classical language, and I don't think it is more if you learn Sanskrit, then you learn German better. If you want to better your German, I mean, if you want to be good at German, you have to learn German.
Understood. Thank you. Devin?
Ma'am, can I say, ma'am, I would like to say that our Indian languages, in fact, are really getting diluted over the span of time, because earlier, say before this urbanization began, when we were under Mughal rule, we would say, "Tumhare mitra kaha hai?" But now, because of urbanization, and now because of the influence of the West, it's getting diluted. Now we just say, "Tere dost kaha hai?"
Correct.
So I think this can lead to culture being forgotten in the long run. Say a
Yes.
century or two from now, we may
Yes.
not have our Indian culture because of the West.
Absolutely. And this is not just happening in India, it's happening all across the globe. Even in Japan, it's happening. And in fact, let me tell you something, it's even happening with the English culture itself, because the English that is spoken now is not even good I'm contradicting to my own thing by saying good English. I mean to say not the English that was used earlier, correct? So these days, and if you go to the chat language, there are so many short forms, and I mean, I'm so bad at it, and many a times recently I discovered that capital F and 9 means fine. and I was like, seriously, I mean, and I'm thinking that why is that person send me F9? Is it a spelling mistake or what is it? I mean, I was really trying my level best to understand what is F9, and that was fine. So if it's not just Hindi, or it's not just Indian culture or Indian languages, but if you go back even before Mughal, you go way back, and you will always see there is a change happening. There is constantly, the languages are getting sometimes diluted, sometimes merged with other languages, sometimes forgotten. But the sad part is, like you said, that cultures get forgotten. Cultures is a very big thing getting forgotten, because there will be contradictions over there. But truly it happens, but that happens over an era, I would say. But certain things get forgotten quickly, and those are words. Like you're saying mitra, very few people use this word mitra now, and it's become dost. Like in
Yes.
English it's become guys. And why GUYS? Why not friends? And why not other things? So but this is what happens with all the languages and all the cultures. So again, it is up to the each and every generation gets this responsibility. It's been passed to us over the years, and we had our share. Probably our parents' generation had their share of preserving the languages. It came to us to preserve our languages. Now it's the next generation, you guys, to preserve the language, and it is up to you to make it evolve into something good or deteriorate.
Okay. Amrita, I'll take last 2 questions. There are 2 more questions and then we can. Alithia?
Ma'am, so I would like to know, is learning a language difficult or learning the grammatical part of the language difficult? Because like I see many people who learn the language, who speak the language, but their pronunciations, their grammar, all of that is not correct. It's a little
Correct.
haywire. So
Correct. So
since like
learning,
you know many languages, what according to you is what is
that's
your
a good question. That's a better question than which language is difficult or not difficult. What part of learning language is difficult? Like I always say, I don't know exactly what is difficult, because for me it might be the syntax, it might be maybe grammar, it might be vocabulary, for you it might be sounds, for someone else it might be something totally different. But what should we then focus on? Like you said, there's a group of people who speak excellent English. I mean, their diction is good, their pronunciation, they are very, very, articulate. But even in such speeches, you discover that, oh my God, that's a grammatical error. I mean, how could that person really make such an error? But having said that, then what should the focus be on? I always feel grammatically you should be correct, because grammar is it's the crux, it's where the language lies. So yes, grammatically you should be correct, because if I do not use my prepositions, or if I do not use my adverbs, or if I do not use my verbs correctly, obviously I'm going to mean something totally different, right? Something totally, I mean, if I did not use my past tense correctly, someone might think that you're talking about future, or what is it that you're planning to do? So yes, grammar is very important. And when you're learning a foreign language, if it takes time for you to understand the grammar, then you go grammatically wrong, and the situation that you mentioned arises. So focus on grammar is important. And for me also, when I was learning language, at times for certain languages it took me time to understand the grammar, but once you understand the grammar properly, you're able to enjoy the language.
Okay, Vrinda, last question. Okay, there are two more. Can y'all please message me your questions, Ayush and Arav? Vrinda, you can ask your question.
So, ma'am, this is like adding to Devin's point about languages getting diluted. It's also a problem that nowadays we have many more different words which we won't find the meaning for, like if we go back to the roots of the language. Like we have a cell phone and now we have a TV which we won't find like actual words for. So
Yes.
that does affect.
Yeah.
Yes. So even because of technological advancement, you have new words which enter your dictionary, and there are certain words which are not in use anymore, because which are not relevant, because I don't know, I mean, how many people today use the word telephone? We just use phone or cell number
Yeah.
or mobile number. Or is there a better word? Please tell me.
Okay, Ayush, what do you want to say? Is that a question?
Yeah, mine is a question. So, I like Star Wars, and also in Star Wars there are like some characters like Yoda and all that talk in like a very diversified way. And there's a thing about if somebody tells you something straight up and in a diversified, more broken down in depth way, you find that harder for some reason. I still don't know why.
You find that
Harder.
Harder to understand. For some
harder to
reason.
understand.
Even though it's more broken down and simplified.
Yes, why is that? Even my son is a Star Wars fan. So, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. The Yoda language, right? So, or I don't know what it's called, but you're referring to what Yoda speaks,
Yeah, yeah.
right? I think that is, again, so I think what Yoda speaks is without, there's no grammatical base to it. Or there might be some grammatical base in the Star Wars language, right? But not in the standardized form that is fit in our mind. That is the reason we are not able to many a times relate to it, and then you know what happens if we are not able to relate to a certain thing, our mind just declares it as difficult, or I don't understand, or we just shut off our brains, you know. So the most important thing here is, if you're able to relate to it, if you're able to really, you know, understand it, and start to gather more knowledge about it, that is the time you go like, oh no, I understand it and I totally agree to it.
Okay, last, Arav Verma, can you just share and try and keep it short because we've run out of time. Arav Verma? Arav, are you there? Okay, he wanted to share that there is a character in Big Nate series known as Arthur Pashkov, and he's from Big Nate series. I think it's a series of books. And
Okay.
he says that he's from Belarus but immigrated to USA. So he speaks broken English, but that's how he's so popular.
Yeah, actually, like every like in the character series, like that's how every girl starts liking him. They're like,
Okay.
oh, his accent is so dreamy and all that stuff. So, so basically, that makes the main character, like, you know, the main character will get so jealous. He's like, oh, brother.
Okay.
So
I
basically,
think
like this guy, Arthur, he's like, so basically, sometimes, for example, the art teacher, Mr. Rosa, gives him a job to do the wall painting. So then he's
Okay.
like, okay, thanks you very much. Then he's like, thanks you. And then one time he was like to the main character, you are deserve the grand prize. And then another statement, maybe you are half gas.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
some
it's totally
I think how that influences
kind
literature
of
as well, you know,
correct.
kind of
Correct.
immigration,
fiction.
globalization.
Absolutely. And so these are the, you know, modern world. So earlier eras probably were influenced by Shakespeare, and today's is going to be influenced by these
Characters.
parts of literature.
Yeah.
And again, this is all part of the journey of evolving.
Yeah.
And we should accept it, and we should grow with it. At the same time, not forget our past. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think the kids have warmed up and asked a lot of questions. If you could sing Hakuna Matata, and then I'll give you my
Sure.
word.
I will. So I'm sure you all are aware of Hakuna Matata. That's the song from Lion King. So I'll be singing that song in 22 languages. I'll start in one and end in the 22nd language. So it goes like, Hakuna Matata, nandei hibikinanda. Hakuna Matata, no messaggi, senza pensieri. La tua vita sarà a chi ora vivrà in libertà. Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata, che cosa è? Nothing. What's the matter with you? Weißt du, Kleiner? Diese 2 Wörter lösen alle deine Probleme. Genau, nimm Popo zum Beispiel. Verás, cuando era muy pequeñín, muy bonito, gracias. Notó que Soliento no le olía muy bien, los demás deseaban alejarse de él. Me dolió no tener un amigo fiel, un igual, was für un igual, sie war katastrophal. Ach nein, so ein Skandal, und das ewige Hupen, sag uns nochmal von den Ständigen. No, Pumba, ni prejudicat, oi, ferlo, Hakuna Matata, Theater Sommer Bra, Hakuna Matata, Chantang Rangichi, Chansai Kaishu, você deve esquecer, isso é viver e aprender. Hakuna Matata, en français maintenant, ça signifie que tu vivras ta vie sans aucun souci. Philosophie, Hakuna Matata. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Amrita, for spending this morning with us and enriching the session for our students. I think we are learning right now about understanding each other. And I mean, it seems that the children have tried to get as much understanding from you about languages, and not just languages, but communication. A few teachers who attended have shared their views. So Miss Bindu loved, she's a counselor, and she's thanked you for the session, along with Miss Sherman, who's our GP head. She thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm just sharing their wishes with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being there with us.
I always love interacting with the younger lot, the younger generation, because that keeps me up to date. Since, especially being in languages, I always feel if we understand their generation, the newer generations, we learn a lot, you know.
Yes,
so it's
true.
always mutual learning. So, and thank you once again, Don Bosco, for inviting me. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot. Thank you so much. Thank you, children. You can leave. I think you can take a 5-minute break and go for your next class. Okay? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Amrita, if you want, I can share this session with you, or if you've already recorded it. I don't
No,
know.
I have not recorded it.
Okay, so I will share the recording with you.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye.